Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Today we need to discuss that Spring security, right? Yesterday we can discuss. We had discussed it some of that is Spring module. Today we can discuss this one another module is the Spring security. Uh, before that, before that, if you enjoy this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me grow and bring more awesome content for you. Uh, if you hit that bell icon, so you will never miss an update. Let me know your thoughts in the below comment. Okay, and thanks for your support. Let's get started. Here we can discuss the Spring security, right? This Spring security in nowadays the Spring application. If you need to implement that Spring application or Spring Boot application, that purpose we can also implement the Spring security. Okay, what is the Spring security? Spring security is what that is the authorization and authentication, isn't it? Here, what is authorization and what is authentication? What is authorization and what is authentication? Authentication means the verifying the credentials. Here, that authorization here authorization it can be user logged user has a specific functionality or not. That is called authorization. That we can implement that in the Spring security. A lot of Spring security authentication and authorization they has provided, like Jdbc credentials and Spring security and Auth 2.0, okay, JWT, JWT token, isn't it? These many things they are to be provided. Here, if you want to secure your Spring security or Spring application, what will do? The you will do security is very important for that application, right? If you have not implemented the security, there is no secure application. Client will lose something, some data. That's the reason you will implement that secure application. To protect our application and application data, we need to implement security logic, right? To protect the application from the hacker or from the unknown persons. That's the reason to protect your application and application data, whatever it is that has to be the data, you need to implement that security logic, isn't it? Spring security concept, we can use the secure our web application or REST API. REST API. To secure our Spring Boot application, we need to add some of the starter classes from form.xml file. That is, this is the Spring security. Spring security will provide that default one, right? Is the when added the dependency in the form.xml file, then default our application will be secured with basic authentication, right? The Spring security, what will provide? It is a basic authentication. It will generate the random password in our application in the console. Okay, in our application in the console. If you not configure in the application.property or application.yml file, it will generate that application password in console. That is the reason you will configure application.property or application.yml file. Inside that you will configure username and password. Then what will do? Then when you are logged into that application, whatever it is configured in the application.property file or application.yml file, you will that exactly whatever it is configure that username and password. That username and password you can use for that logging purpose for your application, isn't it? Here, so generated random password will be printed on the console, right? Generated random password. If you not configure in application property, it will random password will generate in the console only. It is not recommended, right? It is not recommended. That is the reason. That is the reason we need to that below credentials on our application. For example, username and password is something. Copy the console or you can configure it. When your credentials are getting accessing or not, that's the purpose. Username is username default one and password is random password or whatever it is configured in application.property file. You will use that, isn't it? Here, when we access our application URL in browser, then it will be display login form, right? That authenticate our request. Authenticate our request. To access secure REST API from Postman, if you want to secure REST API from Postman, you need to ask the value from Postman to send the request. Like authentication is basic auth and username and password. Okay, this is my Postman. I'm opening the Postman. Let me know. Here, authentication is basic auth. Okay, authentication is basic auth. What happened? I don't know. Why? It's all right. I don't know why it is slow. It is loading. Yeah, this is my Postman, right? This is my Postman. When you are adding that request to send that application in authorization, you can put basic authentication, basic auth, and send username as a username and password is as a your whatever it is configure. That password uh, would be print here. Then it will be it will be access our secure application by using the Postman to your REST API to your REST API here like that, isn't it? If you how to override the Spring security default credentials, that's all I explained, right? Is to override the default credentials, you can configure that security credentials in application.property file or application.yml file in your project. In your project, that is Spring security username equal to Lakshman, whatever it is Lakshman or root, okay, or user. You can you can use. And Spring security is like user at the rate 123. Like that, you can configure them. Like that, you can configure them. When you are configure the credentials, after the configured credentials above this one, right? We need to give the above credentials access our application or API, REST API. Whenever it is accessing our application, we can use in the basic authentication username and password is a user at the rate 123. Okay, like that we can configure. How to secure a specific URL pattern? If you want to the specific URL pattern, for example, when we add the security starter that pom.xml, then will be apply security filter for all the HTTP methods, right? All the HTTP methods it will applicable our application. But in the reality, that we need to secure our two of method, not all method in our application. Two of method only. For example, login page. Login page is a secure not required, right? Because login page initially itself is secure, right? In the transfer phase, transfer is the this transfer we have that whatever it is money transfer or like it is basically I can say it's a money transfer. That way, this endpoint you need to configure with security, right? That is the reason here secure is required and balance also secure is required because it is not secured. Not secured, what will happen? Everyone will show that your endpoint. Everyone will show it with your endpoints. That is called there is no there is no secure, and nobody, all will happen, all will hack your web applications. Other also will see that your application or endpoints. About is not, about us is not required, right? There is no need to require, and contact us also there is no need to require. That's the reason, in order to achieve this requirement, we need to customize security configuration in our project, right? In our project, customized security, right? That's the reason we have that in the config class, right? Security configurer class, we have security configurer class. That security configurer class, what will have in the above at the rate configuration at the rate enable web security. At the rate enable web security, what will do? Enable at the rate enable web security will do the enable the secure application. Enable the secure application. And at the rate configuration means this class would be the config class, right? That's the reason at the rate configuration. And here customized bin were created at the rate bin annotation will create custom bin. That is the reason public security filter chain or security filter chain is method is there. That security filter chain, inside the secure filter chain, security filter pass the HTTP security and HTTP through that exception. This method would be maybe throw the exception, right? That's the reason we are using the throw keyword, isn't it? And HTTP dot authorize that HTTP request lambda expression, that request dot and match of here slash and slash login and about and swagger UI HTML, and permit all any other request and authenticated any other, these none other than whatever it is I mentioned here, login or about us, these are the not secure, other than all the secure dot form login, right? And return HTTP field, HTTP build, like that. It will be that secure our application. It will be secure our application, right? Secure our application. Okay. This is the security configure classes we created. We entered that if you want that secure our authentication, if it is a JDBT, Spring Boot security with JDBC authentication, also you can use. Okay, instead of you are using that part, instead of you are using basic security, you can use that JDBC authentication as well. That way we can use that like this. The set of the database tables required data, right? A user table structure here. Create table user. User is the table name and username, password and enabled. Enabled tint that one and not all. And primary key is username. Username is the primary key. I am taken. I am created one table for the JDBC authentication. Right? Here authorities table structure here, that authorities are there. This is the user and authorities table. Here username and authority worker 50 not null, right? Key username constant that authorities, this is the authorities, and foreign key is the username and reference from where, from user. Okay, from user, like that we can create. And you can also encrypt that like bcrypt also. You can visit this one, this URL. You can encrypt the data as well. Insert the data into record into table, right? That's the reason we can use whatever it is. This username and password is encrypted, right? Encrypted here admin and username, right? Encrypted data here I am passing, and one, and username is also passing encrypted data. When I used this one, for example, copy that one, this one, paste, what Here admin, right? Admin. This admin, this encrypted data. Yes, this one. I put this one, copy and paste here. This encrypted data would be paste here, right? Okay. And always the data will be stored in the DB in the encryption DB. Okay. That user also or that application whatever it is, that owner also didn't see that uh, credentials, right? And user also you can encrypt the data by using this URL. Okay, by using this URL, and also go here and enter the data into authority value admin and role admin. Enter authority value admin and role user and user and role user. These are the information I stored in the DB, right? And then create the application by using these dependencies, web starter and security starter, JDBC, and MySQL connector and Lombok and dev tools, right? Web starter will provide that web application we can implement, and security starter will secure application by using the security starter and data JDBC. JDBC we can connect with the JDBC. It is SQL, MySQL, and MySQL connector also we can give. And Lombok will avoid that boilerplate code. It is the third party library to avoid the boilerplate code. And DevTools. The DevTools when code make changes, automatically restart the servers. These many tools or these many dependencies you can use when you are creating this requirement. Okay, and configure the data source property in application.yml file. Data source property in application.yml file, that is application.property file. I have created that application.property file here, and string and data source and driver class name equal to com.mysql. This is the URL, and this is the class name, and this is the password, and this is the URL. Right? This is the DB name. This is the DB name. This URL. Username is like JavaScript stack and JPA. And whenever the dynamic query will generate, automatically show in the console as well, right? And create the REST controller with required methods. This is the required method I have created at the REST controller annotation. And here, and here, and here, what I am created here, user REST controller created, right? And let get mapping and value is the admin. This is the endpoints of the admin endpoint slash admin is the endpoint of the user REST controller, and public string admin method I created. That method would be written the welcome to admin, right? And get mapping again user also configure here slash user that endpoint public string user method I am created and written s3 inside that hello user. Here hello admin. Now admin, when admin will log in, it will show. When user will log in, this will show. And here slash means I am empty slash empty endpoint I am created. When there is no endpoint, it will create that appropriate endpoint with welcome message. Okay, like that created here, like that created, and create the security configuration like with JDBC authentication manager. Also, you can create that JDBC authentication manager like here. I am created security configuration. That above one I created that security configuration, but it is the basic authentication, but it is a JDBC authentication. Also, I am created here by using the configuration and enable web security. That enable web security, what will do? It will secure our application, right? And private static final string admin, and the final string user is user, right? I am static way it can store. Okay. And here that whatever is data source is the auto wiring, right? I'm doing that auto wired here, data source, private data source, and at that auto wired again the auth manager. That auth manager, what will have authentication that manager builder auth and throw exception. That coming method maybe we have that we have it can handle if you want to it will throw that exception. That's the reason we are using the throws keyword, right? That's the reason auth.jdbc authentication, right? That jdbc authentication method, what we are doing here, we are doing dot data source and dot password and dot username, user by username query. I select username password and enable from user. It is the dynamic query here creating, and authorities by username query. Select username authority from authorities where username is, like that you can create it. Again, what we have discussed here, at the rate bean custom bean were created. That custom beans we are not using that. We are not using that Java bean, that Spring bean, right? We are using that custom bean. That is the reason. That is the reason here using at the rate bean annotation. By using the bean annotation, we are creating that custom bean. And public security filter chain, that web filter chain, we have the security config method. That security config method we are passing http request, right? And throw that exception as well. And http authorize that http request and request that lambda expressions request and dot at method. This is the customized what we have that require, right? That customized method we are discussing here. That ant method slash admin dot has role. That has role. What role is the admin here? And method slash user, and this role will handle admin as well as user as well, right? And method slash that permit all. Here the endpoint is the empty endpoint were implemented, and any request dot authenticated, any other request would be authenticated, and dot form login and return the http dot build method. This way we are creating that is the customized bean by using the jdbc security. jdbc security. Okay, we are discussed we can tomorrow we can discuss this Auth 2.0 JWT related thing, right? We are discussed today what the Spring security and Spring security and what and JDBC authentication, right? Spring security and JDBC authentication we are discussed. Spring security we have that authentication, the basic authentication. Okay, when you are using that Spring security starter class, it will provide that this starter class, it will provide that it is the basic authentication, it will print on the console, right? It is not recommended. That's the reason. If you want to the change that existing one, you can configure in the application dot property, that is the username and password, right? That whatever it is saved that inside the username password, by using that you can configure or you can access our endpoint as well, right? You can our endpoint as well. And here whatever it created that one, right? The JDBC URL, the JDBC URL, JDBC authentication, that whatever it is created the DB tables inside that, it is the encrypted data we can use, we can store. Okay, it is not encrypted data, it is not recommended to our clients. That is the reason you can configure the encrypted data inside the DB only. That whenever the security configurer class is created, this annotation must and should, because that this configuration, this security configurer is the configuration class. That is the reason we are using configuration, and enables web security means when you are using that enable web security means it will indicate that below class is the secure application. So you can, if you want to the existing security, or you can customize it bin, you can create depending on your requirement, you can create. I am created here customized bin by using the bin annotation by using the security filter chain class. That security filter chain class is the security filter method. That security filter method is passing HTTP security and HTTP throws that exception. Maybe this method will throw that exception. That's the reason I am using the throw keyword here. HTTP dot authorize HTTP request and request dot and method. These are the not required to permit, to not require that configuration, or to not require that security. That is the reason. And other than these endpoints, it will secure. Other than these endpoints, it will secure, right? And return the HTTP.build method. It will return. You can test that required data, right? You can test that required data. Also, I'm created that Spring JDBC authentication. The Spring JDBC authentication is one of the JDBC authentication. This way, you can create that one table, username and user table and admin table, like that you can create. And require dependency also you need to create these many dependency you need to use in pom.xml file as well, right? Yeah. uh, yeah, that's it today class. Also, if you want these many things, go here. You can search that security in our security. This is the Spring Security Auth 2.0 is I am not I am next class I will explain. And JDBC authentication and Spring Security. These are the things I am created here, right? If you want to analyze practical way, you can clone this one these two repositories. You will clone and check your local and push the code in your gate and check their site. If you are getting exactly or not, you can check in practical way. Let me check here. Open the JDBC here. Pom.xml. What I am created here. But pom.xml. I take the JDBC starter and starter security and starter web and starter dev tools, right? And MySQL connector and Lombok. Okay, these many things I have created and these many things I am taken, right? That's it. And go here, whatever it is that I am created, the src folder is there. In the src folder means a resource I am configure or not application.yml file. These are the application, the class name and password and the URL and username and JPA will true, like that I am created, right? I am configured in application.property file as well. And go back here, here config and rest classes, and this is the main class, right? In the config class I am created, in the config package I am created security configuration. Inside that, go, I am created or not customized bin, right? This is the username and password and data source, whatever it is, auto hiding here. And then after that, public void auth manager I'm using here, and throw that exception auth.jdbc authentication and data source and password encoder. This password encoder will use when you are storing inside the DB. If you want to retrieve the DB bcrypt, also you can use them. And user start by username query. This is the authentication. That query will generate by using the username and authorities, right? This is the filter check filter security filter chain is there. That security filter chain that has to be in the security config method, right? You can go inside that security filter chain. What will happen? Analyze yourself, right? Analyze yourself. You will get that exactly what happened inside that. Okay, none other than these things permit all the you security. That's why I'm created. Here REST endpoints also I'm created, right? The user REST endpoints. Here that okay, admin get mapping and get mapping user, get mapping admin and get mapping empty endpoint. Like that I'm created, right? That's it. There is no other than there is no rocket science, right? Just I'm simply created that Spring Security authentication app, and you can clone this one in your local and check with it with it. Both of them, Spring Security and Spring Security JDBC authentication. This will explain tomorrow class. Okay, this will explain tomorrow class. And JDBC authentication also JWT authentication also I will explain. Okay, tomorrow class. Yes, I think that's it. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me grow and bring more awesome content for you. Hit that bell icon so you never miss an update. Let me know your thoughts in comments below. I love hearing from you and thank you for your support. And today I'm signing off. Thank you. Bye bye.